Hey everybody, welcome to this re-upload of an old episode of the Purtee Show. It was on a different YouTube channel, and I wanted to put everything that I gave a crap about on this channel. This is my interview, and you get a live performance of Elliott Whitmore in his early days. His second album had just come out, and he came through Racine, Wisconsin, and I had him on the program, and we got to talking about his life with hardcore bands and some things that had happened to him that made him who he is today. And I always get a smile on my face when I see where he's gone now. So it kind of makes me happy. So I appreciate you tuning in. This is a long episode. It's about a half an hour long all total. And I had a lot of fun doing it. And I hope you enjoy. Please share with your friends who are big fans of his music. I think that they would get a real kick out of this. Enjoy. I'm honored to be here with the one, the only Elliott Whitmore, sir. Pleasure to have you on the show this
Thanks
week.
for having me.
Hey,
Thank
not
you.
a problem. First off, I noticed when listening to your stuff that your lyrics are kind of on the darker side. What kind of inspiration do you get from to have lyrics like that?
Well, I first started writing these songs and all the songs for these records after my parents passed away when I was younger, and pretty untimely deaths, both of them. And I had played music previous to that, and sort of was getting into songwriting previous to that. But then when those events happened, it sort of shaped my whole songwriting style into, instead of doing it as a creative outlet, it became sort of a necessity, sort of a like therapeutic thing, rather than kill myself or anything like that. I thought I'd write songs and try to create something beautiful out of something so ugly. But that's sort of when all those dark themes started to happen. Was experiencing a lot of death in the family.
That tends to do that kind of stuff to me. Now, why this style of music? I know you're surrounded by a bunch of hardcore bands. It seems like 10 Grand, Force All Ford, people like that. And you kind of stand out as being, I'm the banjo player kind of guy. Why that style of music? Why not something along the lines of what everybody else is doing?
Well, I grew up listening to that old time stuff. I grew up on a farm, which I still live on, down in Lee County, Iowa. And so I was sort of geographically isolated from a lot of stuff that was going on musically, like as growing up. So I grew up listening to like my grandpa's records and my folks' records, and so it was a lot of that country blues, like a lot of Lead Belly and Hank Williams and Johnny Cash, sort of the staples of that kind of stuff. And so I got really into that at a young age, and then maybe around age 15 or 16, I started getting into skateboarding.
Right.
And kind of the whole skateboarding culture, and so I started reading, I grew up in a cornfield, and so I would get these skateboard magazines and flip through them, and that's how I decided what bands, it was like the Minutemen and Fugazi, and, and just all like Circle Jerks and good stuff like that. So I started getting into the whole punk rock and kind of hardcore thing and the DIY thing, and I started, meeting bands like 10 Grand and Force Ella Ford, who were just these kids that were touring on their own and just sort of putting out their own records and doing these things without the help of anyone major, and so it was really inspirational. And so I thought, man, if I could sort of combine the music that I like with this new music that I like, this sort of hardcore stuff, if I can play my country music in this hardcore scene or whatever you want to call it, then man, I could really have something, because there's a real hunger there in that DIY scene and playing those basement shows and setting up your own tours. So it was a good way for me to sort of like blend them together, because blues and hardcore are the same thing, really.
Yeah, technically, if you want to get down to it.
Being sad or mad about your surroundings, and just sort of being dissatisfied about what's going on, and so different sides of the same coin. So it's a good way to bring those worlds together for me.
Now, when you play shows with bands in that vein, and I've noticed that from stories I've heard, when you play shows with bands like that, that you tend to steal the audience away from them. Does that does that boggle your mind?
Yeah, it does. I never expect to find fans of the hillbilly music. You know, I never expect to see kids in Misfits t-shirts really perking their ears up. You know, it's so nice. It's really good to be able to sort of turn these kids on to music that I like, the same way I was turned on to punk rock at a certain time, and it just changed my whole life. You know, and so I'd like to do it the other way, like introduce them to some of this old shit. You know,
right,
and sort of get them turned on to that, and maybe turn their world around a little bit. And so it's always kind of odd to see, you know, those people kind of listen, and I never expect them to listen, but when they do, it's nice.
Now, I've read somewhere that a lot of people are comparing you to Johnny Cash, Tom Waits, stuff like that. Do you feel any kind of pressure when you go to sit down and write a song with people saying, well, hey, he reminds me of this guy? Do you feel like you have to live up to any kind of expectations?
No, not really. Those are very good compliments, by the way. I'm not fit to shine either of their boots. Tom Waits or Johnny Cash, I don't think I could even be compared to either of those.
Right.
They're musical giants to me that I really admire, but I take that as a hell of a compliment. But now I guess I try not to let it, I try not to think about it, I guess, when I'm writing. You know, because I guess if you thought about it too much, it'd drive you crazy. You'd never write anything if you were trying to write a song as good as Tom Waits or Johnny Cash, or trying to write a song as good as "Give My Love to Rose."
Oh,
you know,
that's such an amazing song.
It's like, oh, you'd never write anything because you know.
So, blank in front of a guitar.
Yeah, so I try to just not think about it. But those comparisons, I feel honored that anyone would even say that. You know?
You do a lot of touring. Now, what places are your favorite to play?
Oh man, so many great corners of the world to play. I love touring the States the most, and I've played in almost every state. But going overseas is nice too, and going over to Europe, and they kind of like that Americana hillbilly stuff over there too. There's an audience for it, and so yeah, I have great shows in really oddball places like Croatia, and Austria, and Germany, and like Slovenia. You know, I'll end up having these great shows in these little sort of places that I wouldn't have thought would have fans of that kind of thing.
That's why the hot chicks are in Croatia.
Yeah,
in that corner of the world.
Yep. There are some beautiful ladies. There's beautiful ladies everywhere. That's for sure. But yeah, there's so many great places to play. And every region, every state, every different country has its own redeeming thing about it, you know.
Right.
And they're all beautiful in their own way, and so it's nice to be able to sort of use music to explore the world a little bit.
And it's got to be easier on you to tour than any other band would be, because you basically just go with a banjo, guitar, or something like that.
Yeah, it's nice. I've got an easy load in, you know, and no fuss, no muss.
Right.
Frankly, I don't know how most bands even do it. I don't know how they, like, I've toured with punk rock bands a lot before, and so I know what it's like to be loading in and out each and every night and doing that. I don't know how bands last doing it.
Well, you put on like a half-hour, 45-minute set where you're just like giving your heart, and then you got to tear down all your own equipment.
Load down your Ampeg 810 bass cabinet down the stairs, you know, or up out of the basement that you were playing in, or whatever. And so I just admire bands that can sort of do it on that level. Bands like Four Stella Ford that did it for years and years. And
bass or drummers that jump off their bass drum and still crazy guys. Now, getting back to you being on the road all the time, you have any road stories that you want to share that you find really interesting, that it's something that might have happened to you?
Yeah, there's always oddball stuff happening. But yeah, one time, I guess one would be, I was playing a show in Brighton, England, which is about a couple hours south of London. And I had a guy that was heckling me throughout the entire show, and I'd never really had a heckler before, and he was sort of being real disrespectful, and in the middle of my song saying disrespectful things, and I was kind of just letting it go, and you know, the rest of the audience was real into it, and so this guy kept going and was just being relentless, and finally another guy in the audience, whose name happened to be William, I found out later, in the middle of one of my songs, he goes over to this guy that's heckling, and he headbutts him right in the face. gives him what they call the Glasgow kiss. And I keep playing and I don't stop, but it was just a really crazy thing. He didn't, say, hey, shut up or anything. He just went over and headbutted the guy right in the nose, bloodied his face all up, and drugged the guy out of there. And I said, hey, all right, man, that was really cool. And I talked to the guy later, and he's like, yeah, my name's William too, and I'm sorry I had to deal with a riffraff like that. Man, that guy was pissing me off,
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing to see at a show. Yeah, but there's always oddball stuff happening like that.
Anything bad ever happened to you on the road?
Oh no, nothing other than just the breakdowns and the things like that. But I feel fortunate that nothing really.
You don't have to worry about bands like that would carry a U-Haul with them with all their gear and it getting stolen.
Right. Yeah, I've had some run-ins with the police on tour that I wish hadn't happened, and things like that. But hell, that was probably my own fault. But yeah,
the cops go after people that they don't understand.
Yeah, I might be an easy target.
Yeah.
I require more understanding than some people. So.
What growing up, getting back to inspirations and stuff, who the most really kind of stuck out to you? Like you said, Hank Williams, people like that. But who really kind of grabbed you at an early age?
A guy by the name of Ralph Stanley, he's still alive. He's 86 years old, and he is what I consider to be the father of any kind of old-time music. And he's the one that sings that "Oh Death" song on that "Oh Brother Where Art Thou" soundtrack. That's Ralph Stanley.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, he's like 86 years old, and he still plays out. But he was a guy that right away was real inspirational. He wasn't afraid to do like the a cappella songs, and I don't know, he had sort of different arrangements, than a lot of the old-timey guys had. And he was a real good banjo player, and Ralph Stanley was a guy early on that I kind of singled out and really tried to strive to be sort of like his style.
Now, people out there who hear your music and they think, well, that's pretty easy to do. Okay, that you kids coming up and saying, well, that's must be pretty easy to do, just having the guitar, the banjo, what have you. Anything you want to say to them about how it's not really easy and you're just jumping the gun, kind of thing?
Well, I would say that the thing is, it is pretty easy. And I would hate for people to even find out how easy it is to play the banjo, because anyone can play the songs I play on the banjo, but it's not always easy to find the inspiration to write songs, and I definitely consider myself a songwriter more than I would consider myself a musician. I can't play guitar that well or banjo that well or anything, but I try to, I strive to write good songs, and that ain't always easy.
I can imagine.
It's sort of, I feel like I've had a lot of inspiration. It could be tragedies or good things, but a lot of inspiration, and that's sort of where the hard part comes in, is writing them good songs. Yeah, the banjo picking and the guitar playing, that's pretty easy. I want people to know that don't think it's real hard, and so they won't try it or something. I want kids to try it. Pick up a banjo and try playing it, because it might be easier than you think. And maybe you could write a song or two on it. Put me out of business. I don't know.
Well, I don't think you want that way. From Hymns to the Hopeless to Ashes to Dust, there seems to be a kind of like a change in a way. Hymns for the Hopeless, you got like Our Paths Across Again Sunday, kind of gospel, hand clapping thing going on, and a few songs are a little bit more upbeat musically, kind of like that. Whereas you go to, and there's a song or two on it that has a couple drum parts.
Yeah.
Burn My Body.
Yeah.
My favorite. I love that song.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
But you don't seem to do the same thing on the new CD. Why did it change?
Well, it's sort of a continuation of the story of the first record, and I guess I purposefully did it a little more sparse than the first record is. I didn't add much to any of the songs, and I don't know. And also, I think I was going through different things than I was when I was writing the first record, and sort of having different experiences, and so maybe those themes kind of permeate the songs a little more too. And so definitely whatever I'm going through at the time affects my songwriting, I mean, naturally.
So are you saying that Hymns for the Hopeless is a concept album, or is it more of just one story that kind of...
It's definitely a story, yeah, and it kind of continues on with the second record, and then the third record that I'll be recording in a couple of months will be kind of the next part of that, and sort of just kind of keeping with the theme.
So every record's basically a giant story?
Yeah, sort of pretty autobiographical, and yeah, so you can kind of tell where I was at the time by listening to what...
So it's the never-ending story without the big hairy flying dragon.
Exactly.
This
body in the northern field. Let the wind blow the ashes around. Then you will know that my wounds have been healed. Lord, I'll be homeward bound. Let the flames warm your hands, let the glow light your way. These gifts to you I bestow. And no one's listening, don't bother to pray. And if you do, Lord, I'll never know. Up and up, the smoke will roll like a cloud of frightened crows. Carry my not so immortal soul up between the roads, up between the roads. Burn my body in the northern field. Let the wind blow the ashes around. And then you will know that my wounds have been healed. Lord, I'll be homeward bound. Lord, I'll be homeward bound. And some words that are said can cut like a saw. And my ears nearly bled at the sound. And I can't help prepare for the springtime thaw. Lord, I'll be homeward bound. But when the frost turns to flowers and they all start to bloom, and there's nothing left to hold, take one back and sing me a tune. Never let the fire grow cold. Never let the fire grow cold. Burn my body in the northern field. Let the wind blow the ashes around. And then you will know that my wounds have been healed. Lord, I'll be homeward bound. Lord, I'll be homeward bound. Well, I heard 6 shots ring out in succession. Oh, and it broke the night air like a china plate. And in my knife blade, I saw my own reflection. Oh, and the devil was at the front gate. Just when you wish that you were dead, ooh, may the light shine down upon your head. Well, it's a long walk from the cell door to the gallows. Oh, it's a long walk for a prisoner to take. And when your last resort is to pray to the Lord, that the noose is weak enough to break. just when you wish that you were dead. Oh, may the light shine down upon your head. Shine, 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 shine down. Oh, shine down upon your head. Well, there's certain things you just can't escape from. Oh, no matter how far and how fast you decide to run. And when the last thing to take has been taken, oh, when the last prayer has rolled off your tongue, and just when you wish that you were dead, whoa, Lord, may the light shine down upon your head. Shine, 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 shine down. Oh, shine down upon my head. Just when you wish that you were dead, oh Lord, may the light shine down.